by these folks. And I think it's okay that we fight back a little bit. I love the new show. There's no free speech on YouTube or Facebook, but there's free speech here on News Nation.
All right, now that the Taliban has control of a country the size of Texas with a population that's on par with California, also located right next to China, the propaganda from the Taliban is coming out fast and furious. We've talked about that throughout the show. The Taliban 2.0. Government, and especially bad governments, love to use social media. Fox News is outraged that President Trump is banned from Twitter, while the Taliban still has an account. And others love the idea of this kinder, gentler Taliban because its Twitter feed talks about respecting free speech and respecting women and the like. Morgan Wright was a senior advisor at the State Department's Anti-Terror Division and Assistance Program dealing with social media companies, and the same kind of propaganda the Taliban is putting out right now. Mr. Wright, is there anything they can do about this, these social media companies, or do you kind of have to just let the Taliban be the Taliban?
They can ban them. Look, the Taliban was declared a terrorist organization by the State Department on September 1st, 2010. I mean, we're coming up on 11 years, the 11th year anniversary of them being designated as a terrorist organization, and yet they're allowed to exist on social media where it's very clear that there is nothing peaceful about the Taliban. I used to instruct in Pakistan, which was actually the father of the Taliban, the ISI. You know, these folks are nothing but brutal. They might, and here's the purpose of propaganda, Leland. They're telling the rest of the world they respect women, they respect women's rights. They never did the first time, they won't the second time. But yet with social media, what they can do now that they couldn't do in 2000 is manage the message better, be able to control the narrative better, be able to put out a facade that says, hey, we're a kinder, gentler Taliban. We're not the same ones. We only behead people with a clean knife, not a dirty one. So, you know, these guys, the Taliban are nothing but a terrorist, brutal organization, period. They should have never been allowed to be on a social media platform.
It seems as though Twitter is allowing them, saying so long as they don't advocate violence on their Twitter account, then it's okay. Facebook takes a harder line. Interestingly enough, this cartoon caught our eye, the new and improved Taliban. Old Taliban on your left, the new and improved Taliban has an emoji on it. Somehow that got caught up in Facebook's anti-Taliban sniffer system. But it brings up this question, though, of how do you police something as broad as Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram for anything that the Taliban says? That seems almost an impossible task.
You know, it was impossible years ago when a lot of it was manual. But look, we've got now artificial intelligence. We've got machine learning. We've got the ability to flag things quicker, faster, better, be able to put them in context and understand, look, there's a difference between talking about the Taliban beheading people and the Taliban saying we're going to behead people. So the algorithms are sophisticated enough to even determine context, to say what are the semantics of this. So
sometimes to people's point, sometimes they get it wrong or right, but you make a good point that it's getting better. How does this work on the other side? Because the Taliban has a vested interest in the world not seeing what's happening in Afghanistan. A lot of the images we're getting are coming from social media because journalists aren't allowed to operate freely there. So is the cat out of the bag for the Taliban with social media access inside of Afghanistan, or are they going to be able to clamp down?
They're going to take a lesson from the Chinese. They're going to, now that the Taliban runs the country, they're also going to control the infrastructure of the country. That includes communications. That means they can now start shutting down what comes into the country and what goes out of the country. That means we will now rely upon people who will actually risk their very life to be able to find a way to get information outside, to be able to provide the videos, to provide the pictures like people do from inside North Korea or inside the Uyghur camps inside China. So you will have people do that. And you know, Leland, the sad part about this is that social media is actually going to help them be able to deflect world opinion much better than what they did back prior to 9/11. So it's the ability is that if you tell a lie loud enough and long enough, people will start to believe it. And that's what the Taliban are going to do. They're going to continue to lie and lie and lie and use social media to reinforce that lie. And pretty soon, just enough people, it will desensitize them enough to where, well, we'll give them a chance. Like you say, it's, you know, they're a nicer, gentler Taliban.
Yeah, we want to just point out the video that we're showing you is video from CNN where the Taliban was out beating people in the streets. Kinder, gentler Taliban probably won't put that on their social media accounts. How do these guys get so good at social media when they've been living in caves for so long?
You know, years ago, I was asked that kind of the same thing about Al Qaeda. They didn't seem to be sophisticated. They learn and they adapt. If you look at the way ISIS used recruitment videos to get women and girls to come to Syria and join the fight, you know, it's this propaganda. It's this creating this narrative that sounds sexy, that sounds like you're a freedom fighter, you're going to be doing all these great things. They've learned how to manipulate people. They've always been good at manipulating people. Social media is just another tool for them to do it. And don't kid yourself, they have people who are, and we have taken out targets from a U.S. military standpoint. They have been on the disposition matrix. We have taken out people whose only function was to do social media and to do communications because of the power. It's Joseph Goebbels reincarnated in 2021.
Well, and in this case, it goes around the world instantly. Goebbels wished he had that, but he did not. Equally dangerous in terms of what they're saying. Morgan, it's great to see you as always. We're going to have you back to talk about the Pakistan angle for this because it's an important one. We'll be right back.
You bet.
Overwhelmed?